I'm Sunit Pshtovsky. I'm a professor in medieval literature at Bangor University, and I'm delighted to be spending even more time down in the archives with my colleagues. I spend an awful lot of time with Bangor Manuscript 3, which is a 15th century book of hours, and that has been instrumental in my teaching of book history, codicology, the design of books, and also it supports my teaching and my research in medieval women's writing, because those kinds of volumes, they're prayer books and they're normally used by women. So you can actually get in touch with a real medieval manuscript that real medieval people would have held and used to support their devotions. My favourite document is probably the Bangor Pontifical, simply because that shows you a very beautiful but also utilitarian book, suggesting that medieval people like us had books for all sorts of reasons. And the Pontifical has a lovely image at its opening of the bishop banging on the cathedral door for entry when he takes up the position of bishop, but it's full of music, some of which is unique to this area. And what's particularly lovely about the Bangor Pontifical is, although it was very probably made in East Anglia, and its art suggests that that's the case, it was made for up here, it was made for Bangor, and it has been up here ever since its creation. Which is lovely, because so many medieval books are taken apart and used for other things, or dispersed in sales. The Reformation did a lot to make us lose our connection with our medieval books and their original sites. So the Bangor Pontifical is particularly special that it's in the location for which it was originally made. A particular item that I'm very fond of is the pair of gauntlets that I have in front of me. And these two, they are a matching pair, but I think they may well have been created by the same person. They are a lovely way of, if you like, showing how items in our archives, and archives generally, can give you a hand across history. Because what we've got here are two mid-17th century gauntlets, and they are made from leather with the most beautiful metalwork embroidery. If I just lift up the one, this is a left-hand glove or gauntlet made for a woman. The finger size does suggest this, and you can see that the cuff is exquisite. We've got beadwork, or metalwork, sorry, on the cuff in a floral design. Made the wire is silver, but you've got lace work from the silver at the edges, and then this beautiful insert that allows, I think, ease of access and egress from this gauntlet. But what is particularly interesting to my mind are the length of the fingers, and they are particularly long. I don't have large hands, but if I put my hand on it, there's a good centimetre at the end of each finger, which apparently was the fashion in this period, to make your hands look longer and more elegant. But from a medievalist perspective and a manuscript person's perspective, what is also very interesting is the inside is lined with a paper manuscript, contemporary with the gauntlet, and it's in some disrepair now, clearly from how the gauntlet was used. But it just shows how repurposing, recycling is not a modern thing. They were doing this in the 17th century, and the manuscript here is used to stiffen the gauntlet, which I think is wonderful. And if you compare the man's with the woman's, this is a man's left-handed gauntlet, you can see they are of a design. The silver threadwork is similar. You've got a very similar use of colour, the blue there, to enlarge the gauntlet. And what you can see on the inside, on the front of what would be the front cuff, is how it was manufactured, because you've got the leather from the actual gauntlet, which is then lined again very clearly with paper, and then a beautiful silk inlay is put on the top of that. I like the fact that the cuffs are slightly different. The ladies' version has little sequins, 17th century sequins attached, whereas the man has just got a series of tassels, if you will. But I think what is so interesting about these gloves is, I say, they give us contact with the original users, and when students come and see these things, they actually are handling history, which brings everything to life. Now, in terms of what we can extrapolate about these two gauntlets, I think it's interesting that they are so fine. And the fact that we have not a matching pair, but two that were clearly intended for a man and a woman, I would say, who knew each other. Perhaps what we've got here are gloves given as a betrothal present or a wedding present. But certainly the owners and the wearers of these gauntlets would stand out amongst the crowd as people with refined tastes, and very often, or very particularly, refined clothes. People who wanted to make a splash amongst company. So it's lovely to have these kinds of surprises in the archive, that you can come in and you might be looking for something entirely different, and then one of our lovely colleagues will say, have you seen this? And what you do is you go off on an exploratory narrative of bringing history and culture and literature back to life, to the present. There's no such thing as history, nor is it past. They are the custodians of the past, and we need our archives to continue our research in the present and also for the future. So without a shadow of a doubt, a hugely important element of the research environment at this university. In terms of the kinds of things that you find, I love the element of surprise. You don't know what you're going to find. Now, Bangor's own archives are absolutely crucial for a Welsh cultural custodial role, because we have here things that are unique to Bangor, that folk who wish to study Welsh culture, Welsh history, Welsh language, there are things here and only here that will support that research. So Bangor University's archives are particularly important.